Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the HES 9000-ASB BSP. This is a spacer bracket for a 9800 series electric strike. Let's take a closer look at it dimensionally, and then we'll look at all the parts and what it's used in and for. Let's take a look at that right now dimensionally. Here we go. Here is the spacer bracket itself. Obviously, when you're dealing with an existing back set. Overall height, about 9 inch. Overall width, about 1 7/8 inches. Thickness of that material looks like it's about 1/2 inch. Obviously has all of the holes required to get it mounted to the frame, to get the strike mounted to and through the spacer bracket itself, access holes for wires, things of that nature. It's also going to include some fasteners, which we'll talk about more in a moment. Why would you need this? Let's take a look at that now. If you are enjoying this video, please click thumbs up or like, and also please consider subscribing to our channel. Let's move on to the rest of the video. Now, you'll end up using a spacer generally when you need to, well, spacer and shim. A shim is what you would use to build that off because you're trying to contend with a particular fixed dimension like a back set. When it's a spacer, that's a different concept. A spacer, and this is definitely a spacer, not a shim, although you could use it as a shim. A spacer is when you're contending with a condition of the frame, and I think that the 9000 ASB is meant to work with an aluminum storefront, where you have a blade stop. And a blade stop is a very thin, very short projection stop in the frame, not like a hollow metal frame that will be the soffit width and then the 5/8 projection generally, sometimes 3/4, but 5/8 almost always, where it can be, 2 1/4 soffit on a 5 3/4 frame. A blade stop is just literally in an aluminum storefront where you have only this tiny little 1/8 inch thick piece of aluminum. Sometimes they'll have a weather stripping inserted into it as well. Well, if you're going to install an electric strike to that, you don't have, like a 9800, you don't have a soffit to attach that to, is the problem with that. The only thing you have to attach to on an aluminum frame would be the rabbet of the opposite side of the door, and that's not where a strike gets installed. It needs to go onto the soffit generally. But when you use a spacer like this, which is half inch blade stop, that's going to make that strike work compatibly with that application. That's where that's going to come into play. Now, you're also going to have Riv Nuts, and Riv Nuts are these, they're made of different material. I imagine this is aluminum. Nope, it's not. That is not aluminum. That's some type of steel, that's to be sure. Also stainless is available, and the Riv Nut is going to allow you to install this. This is the back side of the prep where it has this double drilled hole. The Riv Nut will sit inside of here. Am I doing that right? Yeah, sure I am. So what's going to happen is this. Here's how it goes. Okay, you'll drill a hole, you'll drill 4 holes in the frame. The Riv Nuts get pushed into the frame, tapped in carefully. When you then run the bolt through the opposite side where there's a countersunk hole, the flathead machine screw, when you tighten that down, it will force the Riv Nut to collapse. Wall thickness of the frame, you've got the Riv Nut coming through, bolt is over here, but when you tighten that down, it forces that to flatten like that, collapsing it over the wall of the thickness of the frame, the wall of the frame, allowing you to install it. Then you end up attaching your strike directly to the spacer via these holes here, these drilled and taps holes here. This is wire access, meaning you can install it right hand, reverse, left hand, either hand that you require. And that's what the spacer is for. Again, you could use it as a shim, but shims are generally just thinner pieces of metal that just stack behind the strike all together and don't require any longer fasteners. And shims are thin, maybe 1/8 inch, whatever Hess has available. So what you're going to get in the box, you're going to get the 4 machine screws and 4 riv nuts. I'm going to make sure we have all these parts. I'm going to get more than that. They're also going to include a couple of other mystery pieces here that I'm yet to discover what they're for. Let's take a look. So in this, they have 2 extra riv nuts that I don't know why are here. They also have the bolt that you would use to attach the Strik to the spacer. And then they have this, what would look like a hex nut, but it's a sleeve. Admittedly, I don't know at this moment where this goes. Perhaps we will discover that. Let's switch to the screen view and let's look at all the supporting information. If you are enjoying this video, please click thumbs up or like, and also please consider subscribing to our channel. Let's move on to the rest of the video. Okay, let's take a look at the extended description information. Before we do that, let's take a look at the images that we have posted. Some extra parts there at this point. Spacer itself. That's showing the face side that the Strik mounts down to. The profile. And we also have a picture of the back side of it here as well, showing those double drilled holes. That's where the riv nut will sit over. That's the side that goes to the jam itself. Then we also have that fastener package, and then the installation instructions that come with this. Let's look at the extended description. Frame application, aluminum, hollow metal, wood, sure. Blade stop is what they're thinking. Catalog page here. So this is the 9800 series cut sheet. Nice and clean Strik. A lot of people really like the Hess series of Striks. Their entire product line, many people are fans of that material. They do have spacers, 1/16 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch. They do then have the spacer bracket, they call it. I would call these shims. They call them spacers, no problem. But to these spacers, you're not attaching the Strik to it. So this is a shim. That's a shim. That's a spacer. Blind nuts. Plug-in buzzer. If you're using DC and you want an audible sound, you'll install this plug-in buzzer in the circuit. Power conditioning is this Smart Pack 3. Electrolinks adapter is just a connector, a plug that will allow you to quickly and immediately connect it to other Electrolinks prepped products from ASA Abloy. Plug-in bridge rectifier. You'd need a bridge rectifier if you're powering it with AC. Let's say you have a DC Strik and you're bringing AC to it. You'll need a rectifier. Surface mounted mounting box should you need that. So we won't dwell too much on the features of the 9800 itself. Let's look at the document that comes with the paperwork, and here it is. If applicable, remove existing Strik. Retrofit applications may require the exit device to shift horizontally towards the hinge edge of the door to compensate. So what they're saying is, you might need to change the back set, is what they're saying, if you're doing an existing installation. If you have a door that already has an exit device installed on it, it has a predefined back set. This may not work very well with the existing prep that you have. Relocating the back set for an exit device prep is generally not something that people are able to do, because you don't have the ability to cover old holes after you drill new holes. Align the center line, which is scored on the spacer itself, with the center line of the latch bolt of the device. Other notes and comments regarding tips and tricks on different devices are listed here as well. Mark and center punch and drill the ASB mounting holes using a 25/64 drill bit. Install the blind nuts, which I called riv nuts earlier. Oh, now we know what it's for. The tool is Drill bit and install the blind nuts using the provided tool. Okay, so clearly what they've given us here is you're going to drill that hole. Yeah, okay. So, forgive me, I didn't know that that's what that was for. So the tool, this is the tool. And they showed you, it happened to be put together. So you're going to end up installing the Riv Nuts or the blind nuts. You're going to use this tool, which is just appears to be the same bolt as what holds the Strik in. And you're going to tighten that to the point where you collapse the Riv Nut down. Then it's installed. I would normally just insert the Riv Nuts and then use the screw in order to attach that, but I can understand how it would be far more beneficial because you're not having to over-tighten this substantially, making it more difficult to install the spacer to begin with because you've got one hole that's hyper tight. Then you've got to get the rest of these installed. What if the alignment is off a 32nd of an inch? Makes perfect sense, and I'm glad that I now know that. I did not know that earlier. So I had called that a hex nut without the threads. That's exactly what it is. So thanks to our installation instructions, they've made that clear. Blind nuts are recommended to ensure the most stable and secure install on an aluminum frame, possibly also known as the only way to do this. You can't really drill and tap to aluminum. You can, but a Riv nut or a blind nut would be a more secure application. Pre-install the ASB and Strik to identify which mounting holes will be used. Mark center punch and drill clearance holes for the quarter 20 mounting screws. So what they're saying is you're going to line the spacer on the frame. You're going to mark where these holes are. You're not going to use all 4 of them, only 2. And you're going to drill a hole in the frame to allow that bolt to run through and penetrate into the frame itself. So, you know, what hole will you drill? 5/16, I suppose. The bracket includes 2 mounting holes for your Strik to accommodate blade stops up to 3/4 inch wide. Okay, sure. So I wouldn't call that a blade stop. I would call that just a very narrow frame, but nonetheless, Hess knows more about this than I do. Mount the ASB onto the frame with the flathead screws into your blind nuts. Connect the Strik to power and test. Make sure it latches, everything is working correctly, and any adjustments necessary, go ahead and make those as you need. Now, there's also an installation instruction for the 9800 itself, or the Adams-Rite 7800. Hess and Adams-Rite are sister companies. H is a reference to spacers. Pardon me, to shims. They call them spacers. We're going to call them shims. Should you need to look at or to review the installation of the 9800, here it is. They refer to the optional spacer as well. Obviously used with Adams-Rite star wheel style exit devices. Showing your prep that you would require. Simple and straightforward. Okay, now there is a link below this video as well to this document called Catalog page. We've gone over that. That's just a cut sheet. But to see more, click the link to the manufacturer's page here, and that's going to allow you to review not only all of the Hess products that we sell by means of this horizontal navigation as seen here, but also a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the current product catalog and several past product catalogs as well. I like to see, or I like the ability to go back and see in time how our product line has changed. Products added, products removed. Let's wrap up this video on camera. If you are enjoying this video, please click thumbs up or like, and also please consider subscribing to our channel. Let's move on to the rest of the video. Now, the name Hess has been synonymous with electric Striks for probably 30 years at this point. I don't know how many years Hess has been a company. They were certainly independent of Assa Abloy when I first learned of them. And I first learned of them when that 9600 Strik of theirs came onto the market. And I remember when the rep came in to show us that Strik, he was... it was as if His excitement was as if an inexhaustible, renewable supply of energy had been discovered. And I liked it too, in the sense of it solved problems because you can throw... I don't really care about the relocation of centerline and having a background in hollow metal. It's nice to have that really large keeper, adaptable modular faceplates that you can put on different lock types, even with deadbolts. I didn't like how bulky it was, nor was I an immediate fan of... Nor did I become a long-term fan of the reliability of the Strik. But it certainly is a strike that's extremely popular. They look awfully bulky is the bottom line, and I would prefer a more elegant solution that certainly ASA Abloy companies can provide, like electric latch retraction or some better, cleaner way to do that. Having a Swiss Army knife of electric strikes is nice to have, but let's just use the one most elegant for the application, was my initial thought. But it's still being made today, still being bought and sold today, that's for sure. What else is nice about Hess is also nice about other ASA Abloy companies like Adams Wright. I'll say them because I draw on their expertise often. They are really good with tech support. Hess, Adams Wright, probably Securitron, they are all likely in the same department. Good, responsive people. They'll get you the answer. They understand their product line very well. And that runs through the entire ASA Abloy family of properties, whether it be Corbin or Norton or Yale, Sargent, Medico, Rockwood, Pemco, countless others. Any questions on the 9000 ASB? We'll call this a spacer, or any other Hess product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you. Again, thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please click thumbs up. Please subscribe and maybe even send the video to someone that you know. Thank you.